Alright, I am back with a new Destiny 2 video. I was gone for 4 days, so this has been my first video back. I didn't know if I'd actually get King's Fall done this weekend, but I did manage to do it last night after Noah went to bed. He is now at a pretty early bedtime, so I can squeeze in a 3-hour raid in if I have to. Obviously, I did not go for day 1 or contest mode, as I never do. But I was deeply impressed to see that Salty Greppo and his team, Elysium, did another world's first, which is 3 in a row, I think, which is insane, and probably more insane given the context that we're now in the contest mode era, so it's kind of the level playing field for everybody. So they are probably the best all-time raid team in Destiny history, so congrats to them. Meanwhile, in not all-time great raid team history, there's me and my King's Fall run, which was fine. It was a lot of fun. Normal mode is obviously much different. I just wanted to talk a little bit how it went, what I think about King's Fall and such. It has been eons since anyone has played King's Fall in any meaningful capacity, and this is Bungie updating it both visually and for the Destiny 2 sandbox. There were some issues with me discovering that Arc 3.0 Warlocks are very, very not viable for raid content at this point, not just because of their kit, but because of this resilience bug. It is terrible. So I was on Arc 3.0 Warlock for the opening and for totems, and that was actually very good because the speed boost, can apply when you're running the orbs around or running the buff around, and it actually really helps you for, getting to point A and point B pretty quickly when you're doing these rotations. The problem is it leaves you super exposed to, I was just getting burned down by ads where this resilience bug, it's not like it takes you to where resilience used to be. This is something worse where it's like your resilience is 0, so it feels like you have essentially no damage reduction of any kind. Even I had chest resist mods on, and it felt terrible. I got through all of totems using Arc, but then once I got to War Priest, I was like, okay, this is not going to work. And it always helps to have an extra well around anyway, so I eventually, after a few wipes, it wasn't like I wasn't wiping because I was on Arc Warlock, but I was very uncomfortable trying to fight these yellow bar wizards and orange bar knights and stuff with just so little damage resist. So I switched back to the incandescent meta multi-tool build, which I was using for most of Solar 3.0 all last season. Still a lot of fun, just burns through mobs, and surprise, I had a lot of resilience that actually kept me alive. No Class C restoration anymore, that era is over, but going from Arc to Solar was night and day. The War Priest encounter, as I think everyone has figured out by now, is probably the hardest encounter of the entire raids, given just his insane amount of health and the fact that there's a pretty hard stop as to how many DPS attempts you can even have on him. And we had a little bit of trouble. I was a knight killer, so I was running around trying to kill the knights and then transfer the buff. At least one wipe was definitely my fault because I forgot to take the buff off somebody. I blame them for not counting down the timer, but I missed plenty of my own timer countdowns throughout the raid too. Eventually, we kind of decided on a strat where we did most of our damage just in the middle because everyone was kind of getting too jumbled around, going from left to right, left to right. I got myself in some weird situations where I had to run all the way across to kill a knight that had just spawned and come all the way back across to the DPS group, and it wasn't working out. I don't know. We did it in 5 or 6 attempts maybe. I very much understand why this was a hard DPS wall for World's First. I could already feel heavy ammo being pretty light in my own non-contest run, so I can understand why everybody was having to run Aeons and just trying to spawn heavy ammo all the time, and that does not look like the most fun. I think now it's fine. I still think War Priest has kind of a goofy amount of health compared to every other boss in this raid, including Oryx. It feels a little off to have him be such a hard DPS check that early, but then it's kind of smooth sailing from there. The Dick Wall puzzle was as hilarious as it always is. I did get all the secret chests and stuff. I ended up getting my first 4 drops were all scout rifles because I think I got 2 scout rifles from 2 encounters in a row, and then 2 from the secret chest because that was all I had. Didn't get any like crazy rolls. I didn't get the Firefly roll, but I got some pretty good ones. And I know most people just want the scout period and have not even gotten one. So I feel lucky that I ended up with like 3 or 4 weapons, like types of weapons by the end of it. So that felt pretty good to me. As we progressed, Golgoroth, I was a gaze grabber. That was kind of a breeze, honestly. Just as long as you are timing it right and rotating out gaze and then shooting down those orbs, like not really that hard. Like the hardest thing was the mobs can kind of get overwhelming sometimes with when you're just clearing those out on the sides. Like I kept running into knights coming out of doors that I didn't foresee happening, so I almost died a few times there, but I never died to Golgoroth's or Barrage or anything, and then my team on the ground was doing DPS, and I think we did it in 2 phases or something. It wasn't that difficult kind of once we got into the swing of things. I think we only wiped once. We had like 3 people learning the mechanics at the same time, so it was... The only reason this whole raid was 3 hours is because my buddy David was doing a long explanation of pretty much each encounter. I pre-studied to refresh myself on the mechanics by watching Rick's raid guide, which I don't know how he's putting out comprehensive raid guides with a newborn. That's next level talent right there. So that was not so bad. And then daughters, by the time you get to daughters, like I compared to war, like daughters were almost like orange bar enemies with how little health they have, at least on non-contest mode. Like my buddy was like, okay, we gotta like not, you don't want to bake the daughter, because then if you bake one and don't kill the other one, like then it's like a problem. But like we did so much damage, it was like impossible not to kill them, and then it was really easy to kill the next one in a very short amount of time before we got in trouble by the thing switching back and forth. That section is just about like learning platform callouts and stuff, and then that was just a really really easy section. I don't know why the daughters have such little health. Like it's almost a little goofy, but that is like training for the Oryx fight, which adds some new mechanics like the ogres and their bombs and the knights. This took us a few more tries because everyone was kind of getting a little mixed up with the knights crisscrossing and the ogres, and we had some weird thing where someone tried to trigger a bomb, and they were just standing there, and it just would never ever go off. And so there were a few kind of odd things that happened there that caused us to wipe a few more extra times. My favorite thing was we kept pissing off David because we kept putting the well on the wrong side of where Oryx was, and he's like, he's huge. How do you not know which side he's on? Like, obviously he's on the other side. Why are we here? So we missed out on some DPS in a few of those phases. And then that was it. No one got Touch of Malice. The group I was running with had already run it, I think, on all their characters outside of a few of us who it was their first time. They had not gotten Touch of Malice. No one else, new players, got Touch of Malice. So I ended with a good amount of loot. I got the helmet for Transmog, which I'm excited about, on Warlock. It's a cool helmet. And then I got the Pulse, like 4 scouts, a fusion rifle. The Pulse and the fusion I have are like decent PvP rolls, I think. So I guess we'll try those out there. Although I hate high impact fusions in PvP now. They just really massacred those. Overall, I'm trying to think if I like this or Vogue more. I probably like this more than Vogue, and I think once you have it down, I don't think it's gonna... I know King's Fall was like a kind of a long raid in the grand scheme of things, but I don't think that this will be too terribly long now that I'm all refreshed on it and people know what they're doing. Seems like a good raid that is free to play, so players can hop into both that and Vogue. I was not expecting any like big story revelations or anything like that. Touch of Malice being a random drop instead of a quest this time is I don't know. It's controversial. I wish they did the thing they did with dungeons where if you complete X or Y challenge or have X or Y clears, it will increase your drop rate. So they did that with Heart Shadow in the dungeon. That seems like a lesson they're learning one season too late. I assume that will happen in the next dungeon. But I would love to see them implement that in raids in the future, because I don't think we need any more like 90 Vex runs with no results, like that kind of thing again. I did not have my influencer luck here. I did in the past. I've gotten pretty lucky. Like I got 1,000 voices my first run of Last Wish, and then I never got Eyes of Tomorrow. Never got Teraba. Okay, so maybe I'm not that lucky, but I'm currently saving up for Legend of Agrias because I never got that. And it's really interesting to do this raid now, and like because I was not a big raider at all in Destiny 1. Like I hated doing LFG. I was not like the Destiny influencer that I am now to the same degree. So I just kind of mostly avoided raids. But now that I can, it's a lot easier to assemble team, and I have like actual friends that are playing it. It's a lot more fun. I do have a kid, so finding raid times is a little bit harder than it was previously. Although again, like his bedtime's pretty early, and if he can not wake up, I can do a full raid run. But everyone's very understanding if I have to go like do baby things or whatever. The loot, I don't know like if there's like anything that is like super nutty that I like absolutely must have here. The coolest things I've seen that I don't have are obviously the Dragonfly Firefly Scouts and the Explosive Payload Incandescent Hand Cannon, Killing Tally Machine Gun, pretty cool. But I don't see anything here that's like, going to be meta defining. I don't think. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the impression I get here, which is fine. I mean, you can't have everything just totally upend the meta. I think Volt Shot is like the best perk of the season, rolling on some of the seasonal weapons and like the sidearm and stuff. The Origin trait is good, where if you reload by enemies, you get a stacking overflow buff that can take things up to like crazy amount of in the mag. So this is an Origin trait where you can like really feel it. I feel like raid and dungeon Origin traits are a lot more significant than most other Origin traits, which I think is good. I think that's kind of what you want to do with Origin traits, and the best loot has the best bonus perks attached to it. But yeah, I don't know if there's anything that's like a must-have or like I must craft this or whatever. I'm going to go back mainly to the plunder loot loop of the season and grinding out those weapons and stuff. And I'll slot in some raids when I can. But overall, I think Bungie did a great job with it. I think this is a really solid reprisal, and now we essentially only have two options left for things they could bring back if they're going to bring one back next year. Seems obvious. I mean, they've already said they're not. They might bring Crota's End back in some capacity, but they said it wasn't going to be like now. It was between Wrath of the Machine and King's Fall, so you would think Wrath of the Machine is a guarantee for next year, but I guess we'll see. Highly recommend the raids. It is widely viewed as one of Destiny's best raids ever, if not the best raid. I don't know. You can debate that these days, whether you really like VOW or Last Wish or whatever. It's up for debate, but it is still a very solid raid, and I think they did a great job updating the mechanics, the loot, the visual, like literally everything. So I was satisfied with it. I'm happy I got it done this weekend, and now tomorrow's reset. We'll see what happens to the story and getting more boxes checked in the pirate crew upgrade thing before time gated again. So. Anyway, those are my kind of initial thoughts here and kind of how my run went down. Forgot to record any footage of this run, even though I ran it on PC this time. I have really switched to be almost a 100% PC player now. That did not really happen until maybe this past year, where I don't know, I've gotten so used to playing Destiny on PC, and like I can just hit so many more like linear fusion shots, sniper shots, like especially PvE. It is just miles easier to do almost everything on PC, and just the game feels a lot better there. So I have been almost exclusively playing on PC, which might be a separate video. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you later. Take care.